What Do We Do? A podcast discussing wealth management and financial planning, introducing listeners to the leaders in our community. Hosted by the founder and CEO of Great Lakes Wealth, Dewey Steffen, alongside WWJ Midday News anchor, Brooke Allen.
Hey, I'm Brooke Allen. Our goal with the What Do We Do podcast is to educate listeners on topics that impact your financial growth, your retirement, and your lifestyle.
And I'm Dewey Steffen. Join us twice a month as we welcome some of today's leaders in the community for conversations that can help with investment decisions so you can plan for and live your best life.
Here's Dewey Steffen alongside Brooke Allen.
Hey, I'm Brooke Allen. Thank you so much for being with us on the What Do We Do podcast, and here with Dewey Steffen, of course. But Dewey, this one is a little bit different. This one is, where do we go now?
Where do we go now?
Yeah.
Is that the title?
That is the title. I have just named it.
I love it. Happy to be here. Happy to see you, Brooke.
You too.
Episode 58. Season 2, number 16. That's amazing.
It is.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
This is fantastic.
No, it's so much fun.
Yes. So we're going to talk about what? Travel or how to...
Well, okay, so we're kind of easing out of this pandemic, I think it's safe to say, right?
Okay.
And people are wanting to travel again.
Okay.
And the point is, where do they want to go? Where do you want to go?
Where do you want to go? I want to go to Mars on Elon Musk's rocket ship.
Exactly. The Blue Origin?
No, it's
Or
Blue Origin.
SpaceX. Yes,
Blue Origin is Jeff Bezos. I love it. Catching me off guard. Okay, SpaceX.
SpaceX.
You go on Blue Origin. That doesn't go that far. That's
I'll just wave to you.
Fantastic. Yeah, for sure. So, all right, we'll talk about coming out of the pandemic.
Yes.
What do you do to be mentally healthy and maybe get out and explore? And maybe for the last 2 years, a lot of people have seriously been more cabin fevered or just close to home.
Exactly.
Home bias. So I'm happy to talk about it if you are. Let's go.
Okay, let's go. All right. So, seriously, where do you want to go?
Again, for me personally, Michigan is awesome in the summer. So we're in the middle of April, and I'm just looking forward to April showers turning into May flowers, and then getting into June and the summer here. So my summertime is usually in Michigan. I like to go up north. It's such a beautiful part of our state, and so I won't be doing any exotic trips myself this summer, as far as I know. Maybe I'll win a raffle or something.
You might.
You never know. But
happen.
I kind of look towards the fall / the winter, and then those are trips that are either with my family to kind of get some of that vitamin D, get out of the malaise of Michigan.
For sure.
Otherwise, we'll see what happens in Europe, and we'll see what happens with all the issues, whether it is COVID and having to have vaccine cards or other documentation. But just in general, I would like to get back to Europe. I would like to do some international travel for sure. But as I get older, I get a little bit more worried about safety and, is it worth it? The expense is one thing, but it is all of the extras, the lines, just the protocols involved. And I've learned that through COVID, there is such an amazing landscape here in the United States. So for this podcast, Brooke, I have a list of the top 10 most sought after places to go in 2022 in the U.S., but also international.
All right.
I do have I did a little bit of homework for you.
All right. Awesome.
I have a list, but subject to each person's point of view.
For sure. Okay, so I guess the two things are, we both have kids, and it's either traveling with your kids or traveling by yourself or with a friend per se, right? So what do you prefer to do? Do you prefer to travel with the kids, or do you prefer to go out and do your own thing? So
I like both. So I'd really look at it as you can have an adults-only trip, and you can have a family trip. And there are some that are one or the other, and some that could be either. So, going to the Grand Canyon, you can do that with anybody, but I would call that more of a kid-friendly trip. That would be an experience for me and my children. You can go to Bora Bora, Bali, Maldives. You can go to Santorini, Greece, and maybe that's with that special someone. I'm not sure you need to be strolling around your 4-year-old to some of those places. So that might be more adult only. Also, you want to go to Mardi Gras. I don't think I'm going to be taking my kids down to Mardi Gras at a young age. That's on my bucket list. I've never been. And I've told, don't waste my time. Anyhow, but that being said, some places could be either. So I have not been to Hawaii. That's on my bucket list. And I could go with my family, i.e. my mom and my kids. You and I could roll to Hawaii.
Right.
You could do a guy's trip there. That could be a lover's trip. So there are some places that you would really Disney World.
For sure.
That might be more for you and your kids.
Right.
But we could do that too.
Right.
Right. We could get Grant. We could get Rob, our production crew.
Let's do it.
Let's all get to Disney World and make it happen on a teacups.
Right.
Or actually the new Millennium experience with Star Wars. So again, that's
Right.
kind of, everyone, obviously that's kind of it. It just depends where we're going and what we're trying to do. But I have some places as my children are getting older that I really want to do with them. I want to have memories with them.
Right.
There are places they want to go that they do not want me with. They want
what
friends
kind of
only.
place do they want to go without you?
Well, without me, again, that's like that spring break. So I have an 18-year-old son, and this dude is like, Dad, appreciate you want to roll with me on my spring break, but how about just Apple pay me some cash, and we'll send you some photos. You know what I mean? He wants
Right,
a
for
little
sure.
alone time, but he's in Chicago, and so he is happy if I come to Chicago for the weekend to see him and to spend some time with him there. I'm happy to do that as well, and that constitutes a trip since we're in Metro Detroit, going over to Chi-Town. Not
Right,
too
for
bad.
sure.
But again, I prefer to do that in the summer. It's a little more adequate from the temperature point of view. What about you? You've got your Twinkies.
Yes, my Twinkies. So, obviously it's a little bit different for us this year because going through a divorce. So my husband used to plan all the trips. So this is kind of new to me. I know you said that your ex-wife used to plan all your trips. So, but I'm kind of, trying to figure it out and think, okay, where do they want to go? They love history. They want to go to Washington. They want to go to Virginia, all these things. I personally just want to go back to the ocean. I miss California, but one of the two Twinkies will not get on a plane. so this is a problem.
Well, so time out. So is the Twinkie in charge, or are you in charge?
I am in
So,
charge, but
what I
I
mean?
don't want to deal with a screaming kid. But you know what?
And you have an
Just do
older
shuffles.
child, so I've always wanted to ask you this, Brooke, from our when we talk off set.
Right.
Isn't it easier with the Twinkies because you did this one time before, or is it different because of circumstance, et cetera?
It's obviously she was an only child for a long time because she's older. She's going to be 30 in December, right? So having the Twinkies and the age difference with her be so much, she was like an only child, but with them, there's two of them. So it was harder at first. And then I've come to realize that when one of them has a medical emergency or something, and it's just one of them with me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need the other one because they entertain each other.
Okay.
Right. So to answer your question,
But
just
I mean, like a
different, right?
12-year-old, or a 14-year-old, or a 17-year-old, or whatever.
Right.
I just kind of meant from that perspective of, someone who's never been a parent before, going through it for the first time,
Right.
trying to figure this stuff out. Do they go to camp? What do we do for
They
vacation?
go to camp.
But you've kind of, since you may have gone through it the one time,
Right,
it
for
could
sure.
have been different since it was in California.
It was, yeah. No, it was definitely different. And of course, no family there, right? So here it's been a different story completely with the Twinkies growing up in Michigan. I mean, they were born here. And so they're around family all the time.
For those that don't know, the Twinkies are Brooke's twin children.
Yes.
Okay.
10-year-olds.
10-year-old twins.
Yes.
And so we refer to them as the Twinkies. And there you
Yes.
go. Well, all right, I'm going to give you the list of the top 10 U.S. spots, and you
All
can
right.
tell me from here where you want our listeners and our viewers to go, or where you're going to take these Twinkies,
Right.
or by yourself if there's a beach involved, okay?
Okay, all
This
right.
is from Frommers, which is a travel organization with the website, frommers.com. And in no particular order, some of these places I've never heard of, and
Right.
I'm American as apple
You're gonna
pie.
go.
I mean, what's going on?
Right.
All right, and there's in no particular order, but the Kenai Peninsula in Alaska. I don't even know if I pronounced that right, but the Kenai maybe Peninsula in Alaska. Have you heard of it?
Have not.
Okay, well, it's on the list, so maybe check that out.
Right.
Another one is Charleston, South Carolina.
Love Charleston, South Carolina.
You been there before?
Yes, love
Okay,
it.
I've been there as well, and that is awesome
It
for
is.
sure.
It's beautiful.
Yellowstone National Park, i.e. the Rockies. But I'm going to, before you go, I want you to know that on March 1st of this year, Yellowstone became 150 years to the day since the American Congress made it the, quote, first national park by declaring the area of Yellowstone hereby reserved and withdrawn from settlement, occupancy, or sale. And they call that the sesquicentennial. So they're having a bunch of stuff going on in Yellowstone this summer to celebrate 150 years of being a national park. So I've never been to Yellowstone. That's on my list. And back to what you're talking about, that would be probably more of a kid-friendly trip.
For sure.
Than an adult-only.
Does that involve camping, do you think?
Well, listen, Brooke, you can call it glamping.
For sure. I mean, I'm not a big camper. I don't know if you are. I'm guessing no.
I'm not, but I have, and I will again. I mean, listen, if I'm in the right crew, I'm all in. Let's do this.
Right, for sure.
So, but that's on the list. You're going to take the Twinkies there? No chance?
No, probably not.
Okay. Next up, Kennedy Space Center, Florida. One more fact, fast fact. 2022 marks 50 years since NASA's Apollo lunar mission ceased and President Richard Nixon authorized the space shuttle program. Does it sound like 50 years ago that the lunar mission was over, done, finito?
Right.
All those missions. And then the space shuttle was just, announced and authorized. Well, the space shuttle has now been decommissioned, and that's done. Yep. And now we're into that thing you said, Blue Origin and SpaceX.
Right. People flying to space just because they can.
Let's do it.
Right.
Heck yeah.
Right.
So Kennedy Space Center, what about that for the Twinkies?
No, I think that would be awesome.
Okay, right on. I have not been there, but I've gone on a cruise out of Cape Canaveral, and so I've seen rocket launches. I think it was a space shuttle launch, actually. But so I've seen rocket launches from the pad, either as my plane was landing or my cruise ship was taking off, something. So it is a sight to see for sure. Pretty cool.
That's awesome.
How about this place? New River Gorge National Park and Preserve, West Virginia.
No.
I've heard of it.
I have.
But I've never been there, and I don't even know what you do. Is it whitewater rafting maybe? Some more camping, stuff like that? More camping. Not your style?
Not my style.
Okay, well, listen, there's a lot of viewers, a lot of listeners. Send her your comments about what is she missing. Okay, listen, I'm on your side, peeps. I got you. I'm all in to try this out. Variety is the spice of life.
It is.
But Brooke says no chance. Okay. The state of Oklahoma. This was on the list. Just go to Oklahoma. Go to Oklahoma. Yep. They had a Bob Dylan museum or something, and I'm sure there's a lot of amazing things in Oklahoma. Right. I love this part of the country, and I have yet to really check it out in detail. But the state of Oklahoma. What do you think?
Sounds fun.
Okay, but, not on your list either?
No, I don't think so.
This is actually just a U.S. territory. It's not even the United States, but San Juan, Puerto Rico.
I've been.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It was good.
Yeah, is that with the Twinkies or?
No, that was years ago.
I mean, but would you go back and take
with
the
them? No, I would not.
They say Puerto Rico offers a Caribbean getaway, but it's still on U.S. soil, so no passport is needed and no returning to the U.S. COVID-19 test required. So for a lot of people that are traveling outside the United States, they're worried about coming back. If they have a positive COVID test, they'll be stuck in that country for some quarantine period. And this is serious if you have a life that you need to get back to and all that. So this would be a way that you could maybe, get that still taken care of.
Right. For sure.
I have not been to Puerto Rico, but it's on my list also. Okay, let's see. How about the Great Lakes? This is a good one. Have you heard of the Great Lakes?
I have.
What have you heard?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, Great Lakes. Well, booyah. Look at that. I love it. Fantastic, right? So Frommer says go to the Great Lakes. But here's the thing. This is interesting because what they say to do, I've never done. And I'd be like, what? Anyway, so the Great Lakes, just so you know, fast fact, accounts for roughly 21% of the world's fresh water. So the rest of the world, we do have the Great Lakes. Do you know how many of them there are? How many Great Lakes are there?
5.
Do you know the names?
No, you go.
Okay. I'm not going to be on the spot. We'll be here for 5 minutes. I do know them, but look them up. The Great Lakes are amazing. They surround all of the state of Michigan, and they go up to Lake Ontario, which is up a little bit, but wonderful part of the country, and this is where we call home, right?
For sure.
But this is what Frommer says to do to travel the Great Lakes. They say in 2022, Viking Cruises has a newly put together high-end sailing experience in their famed swanky expedition line. Okay? Sailing the Great Lakes just became a far more luxurious vacation option. The most common itineraries take cruisers between Toronto or Thunder Bay and Milwaukee or Duluth. visiting such highlights as historic Mackinac Island, Niagara Falls, Sleeping Bear Dunes, National Lakeshore, and Georgian Bay. Which of those places have you been to?
Sleeping Bear Dunes.
Okay.
Mackinac.
Yep.
Niagara Falls.
Okay.
And that might be it.
That might be it, right? So I've been to those as well, but not by a cruise ship.
Okay.
And it might be a little different. You definitely can't go to the Sleeping Bear Dunes by cruise ship.
I was just wondering that.
Probably cruise by.
Right.
Check it out. It's amazing.
It is. It's beautiful.
So, again, we talked about going on vacations this summer, and I'm all about staying in Michigan and going to
So would you
northern
do
Michigan.
this?
I would not do this Viking cruise. I kind of just have a thing against cruises, particularly with COVID and other,
right.
Just germs and all those types of things. I'm a bigger guy, and cabin cruising and all that stuff's kind of never been my thing to begin with, but don't need
Not
to
your
take a
thing.
cruise, not my thing per se.
Okay, so you don't want to go cruising, and I don't want to go camping.
Well, so time out, but I have gone on a cruise before, and I would go again. So again, I'm all about, let's just tell me the facts, tell me what's going on. But to go to Sleeping Bear Dunes, or absolutely, I love Mackinac Island. That's one of my little special spots. So for all you listeners, all you viewers that are not from the Great Lakes, get to Mackinac
Yes.
Island in the summer. It's an island in northern Michigan that you can only get to by ferry or by airplane, and there are no automobiles on the island.
Just horses.
Just horses, bicycles, and your 2 left feet.
Right.
Right? It's awesome.
It is. It is very cool.
Fudge and just nostalgia of the days gone by.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Really cool.
And history.
Tons of history.
Right.
Absolutely. Okay, next is New York City.
Oh, yes.
Is that on your list?
Yes.
It is?
I love New York.
Okay. New York, New York. This
So
is
this
with,
is the thing. The Twinkies have asked to go to New York City, and I'm thinking maybe when they're older, right? I don't think I want to take 2 10-year-olds to New York City.
now, does that have anything to do with it being just post-COVID, or if it was on a normal day, 2.5 years ago or 2.5 years from now?
Maybe 2.5 years from now,
Okay.
just because they'll be older.
So they'll be older.
Right.
Okay. Fair enough. I get that. But I would just consider traveling anywhere with children, whether it's to New York or to LA or to Chicago or to Disney World. If it's that age thing, I would consider that wherever you go, you'd have those challenges, right?
For sure.
Okay.
But New York just seems bigger, right?
Yeah. Well, there was Home Alone. That dude was in New York City, wasn't he?
Exactly.
Okay.
Maybe that's what's coming from.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I would kind of say the opposite, or just that with Central Park and just with all the buildings and everything else that there is to do in New York, whether it's the wintertime and taking those kids to see 30 Rock and ice skate and the holiday of
All
New
the
York.
feels, right?
Yes, and then in the summertime, again, whether the children want to go to the stores or Times Square, that's just all cool. So I'm more looking for just, again, is it convenient? Is it opportunity? And pre-pandemic, New York was just a pain in the butt. I go there a lot for business, and the airports are packed. They're not even in good shape, and then to drive into the city, everything's like overly expensive because just the cost. There's business travelers, there's vacationers from around the world in New York. But guess what? Post-COVID, right now, I don't go to New York. We don't need to. Everything's virtual. So business travel is down for sure, and travel from vacationers, tourists, is absolutely way down. So hotel prices, costs to travel there. I think you get some really good deals to go to New York. Maybe 3 months ago, 6 months ago, with COVID, you had to worry about, do you have to have a vaccine card? What restaurants would you get in? Do your children have this stuff? A whole other world about under 12 years old and having
The test,
all that stuff. So I think that's all kind of dissipating. New York City and California, i.e. San Francisco, and down in SoCal, Orange County. It was a little, anxiety or a little challenge to maybe go there because of the restrictions, but I kind of think everything's kind of lifted. So I'm really considering going to New York and taking advantage of maybe some pricing power as the consumer. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So they talk about, again, you can get a very affordable Broadway tickets. So for your children, if you want to go see a really cool Broadway show that would normally cost you an arm and a leg, maybe you can just cost it for an arm now.
Right.
So that's something to think about. And again, hotel prices as well. Or with a significant other, an adult, maybe an adult trip, same thing. Hit a Madison Square Garden, check out a game, Again, theater, Broadway, tickets might be to your advantage. So from a financial planning perspective,
Exactly.
maybe take a little bit of a chance and hit NYC.
Hey guys, it's Brooke. I want to take a minute to talk to you about Dewey Steffen and his great team at Great Lakes Wealth. Do you feel overwhelmed managing your assets? Well, Great Lakes Wealth offers Wall Street solutions with Main Street values. That is really what they are all about. They will help you develop a custom financial plan utilizing all of your assets and keeping your goals in mind. That is what Great Lakes Wealth is all about, helping you and your family achieve your financial dreams. So go to greatlakeswealth.us to schedule an appointment today and tell them Brooke sent you.
Last but not least on this list, this is actually one of my faves.
Let me guess. Las Vegas.
Oh boy.
Am I right?
You got it for sure. I love me some Las Vegas. Absolutely. Right. I have not been since the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I go there frequently for business, but I also enjoy going there for a vacation. There are different ways to do Las Vegas. There are lay by the pool, eat at very nice restaurants. You can go see shows, Cirque du Soleil at almost every property. Take a helicopter ride around the city. You can go to Hoover Dam to actually go out and see the Grand Canyon. You can also, not my thing, but you can also, get all dolled up and go to nightclubs and dance the night away. Tons of shopping. On the Strip, you can just walk up and down. Right. But you can also go to the shops inside some of the hotels and they'll get you. That stuff's expensive. You don't have to gamble to have a good time, but if you like to gamble, you can have a good time. And again, I'll say for this podcast, it's for entertainment purposes only, so don't gamble more than you can afford to lose. Again, that's a speculative investment, whether it's investing here traditionally or gambling at the tables in blackjack or whatever. Take that very seriously, that it should be fun and you should plan to lose. And so don't spend more.
And set a limit, right?
Set a limit, for sure.
Limit.
Absolutely. So that's not what this podcast is about.
Definitely.
But with COVID, guess what? There were no concerts around the country, right? Everything was shut down.
Yeah.
You follow me?
I do.
We have this place here called LCA, Little Caesars Arena.
Yep.
It was like a ghost town for 2 years, year and a half. Yes?
Yeah.
So what I guess a lot of artists have done is they call it setting up a residency in Las Vegas.
Right.
Have you heard of this?
Oh, yes.
What does that mean?
That means they're there for an extended time.
The residency, meaning that's their new home?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Anybody come to mind who's got residency in Las Vegas right now?
If I say it, I'll be so embarrassed, but Barry Manilow.
Barry Manilow?
I love Barry
Does
Manilow.
he really have it? Is he?
He did, yeah.
Okay.
And I know Adele was supposed to, but I think she kind of walked that back. I'm not sure where that's
Well, for all the podcast listeners and YouTube viewers, I'm going to tell you that Barry Manilow was not on my list. But that doesn't mean he's not there. I just didn't make my list. But Adele, for sure. Right. And then there was some delays, but Adele has set it up. John Legend, Carrie Underwood, Katy Perry, Luke Bryan, Celine Dion, and Sting, as well as comedians George Lopez, John Lovitz, and Jim Gaffigan. Whoever that dude is, must be a funny guy. Again, along with Cirque du Soleil and these other things. So rather than them come to you and have to pack up all their stuff and Chicago, down to Memphis, over to Oklahoma, around the country doing a tour.
Right.
They're just like, I'm just going to sit here.
You can come to me.
I'm going to be in the penthouse.
Right.
And then every day at 5 p.m., I'll just take the elevator down, walk across the street to the arena,
right.
Put on my show. So that's pretty good. And then, again, it makes some sense from their perspective.
Right.
And that's the story with Las Vegas. You cannot just go to gamble. You can see shows. You can absolutely dine
Great
well.
food, right? It's just yeah, their food's great.
Yeah, there's old downtown Vegas, and then there's the swanky Vegas. So you can do it your own way. They used to have like 99-cent buffets.
Right.
I've heard, I haven't been in 2+ years, but I've heard that again the prices are actually coming back to where it's not very necessarily reasonably priced, but. Just like anything else, go find yourself a deal.
Exactly.
Right? With inflation and everything else going on, you
right.
just need to do a little work, search it out. And in Vegas, there is the warm season, the summers. It gets over 100 degrees in the summers. And then in the winters, it's a little bit too cool.
Right.
So, again, a little inside tip, maybe check out going from like March Madness, if you will. So March or April through like June, July, and then shut it down and then maybe head back into August or September,
right.
Till October. So check out the seasons for your temps when you're hitting Las Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah, that's the U.S. spots. What are your comments, Brooke, or what's up?
No, I kind of like those. You kind of maybe talked me into New York City. I'm not quite sure on that yet. I'll have to think about it, but
Here's a few others that did not make our list, okay? But we have, followers that have chimed in and said, "What about this? What about this?" So we hear you, we got you. New Orleans, Nashville.
Oh, I love Nashville.
And Orlando.
Of course.
Okay, so those are some. Obviously, there's a ton more spots than that.
Right.
I said Hawaii. I said tons of places. So that's just the top 10 according to Frommers of where people have said they want to go.
Well, obviously we've talked about how much inflation is, ticket prices are going up, things are going up. So if you want an extravagant vacation, you should probably really plan ahead for that rather than putting it all on a credit card and worrying about it later.
Yeah, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Exactly.
For
that
sure.
goes for life and vacation, right?
Yeah, so for this podcast, I'll give you some quick data. According to Priceline, prices have increased for food 10% year over year, hotels 18%, motor fuel, i.e. if you're going to be driving and doing a little, what do they call that, National Lampoon's Vacation, driving across country, 27% increase in fuel costs. Wow. So plan for that. Airlines tickets up 32% year over year. I can testify to that. Hotel rates are expected to increase, again, 18% year over year this year, another 10% next year. Rental cars.
Yeah. People were renting U-Hauls last year because they couldn't get a rental car.
I heard about this.
Yes.
Yes, I heard about it. And so either you have to do a staycation or budget and plan. So there are 3 tips that I came across that could help if you're going to go and test the road. One is make a budget and stick to it. 2 is book early.
Right, like now.
Right. Okay. And the third one, which I'm always a little question about, it depends on where you're going, but that is consider travel insurance. What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I can tell you personally that before COVID, I would never have gotten travel insurance. I just wouldn't have, because it's like, okay, I've booked this, I'm going. But now, after COVID, you have to get it. You just don't know what's going to go wrong on your trip. It's just worth it because you're going to lose that money. So the couple extra dollars is worth it.
Okay, fair enough. So I kind of think that it depends on if you're doing through a travel agent the entire trip, where all the hotels are already pre-booked and all the airfares and all those things, versus if you're just getting insurance on your airfare. I think that, and again, I may be wrong, YouTube viewers and podcast listeners.
You're going to be hearing from travel agents.
Yes, I kind of think you can just, have a free change of your ticket, free ticket change. And if you can cancel your hotel within 48 hours, you should be okay too. So again, I get it, but a lot of these insurances, whether it's getting insurance on a TV you just bought to, insurance on your iPhone, they're relevant, just like insurance. If you mess up or if you're going someplace that's in hurricane season,
right,
you might want to have hurricane insurance for your travel.
Right.
But I guess a lot of it depends on how much that insurance is going to cost. Yeah.
So you say maybe.
Yes. I've just been one who normally looks at it real quick and says, I don't think it's worth it. I think I'll be fine. I've never actually had any issues. I do know people that have had issues, and so they're happy that they had that insurance to rebook.
So even after the pandemic, you would still not consider it with everything?
Because, again, I don't what everything. I hear you, but you can still have a cancellation. You can still cancel. But, again, if it's a Disney cruise or something like that,
right,
and your SOL, you know what that stands for? Okay, if you're SOL and you paid, and if you don't have insurance, then you're just out that money. Then again, a lot of it depends on, again, how much is that insurance premium and what are you going to get for it? I always say read the fine print, because sometimes a lot of you're not getting all the insurance coverage you need. But again, I'm not the expert on that part, so
okay, well,
take that for what it's worth, right?
All right. Some good advice, Dewey.
Yes. All right, I'm going to give you the top 10 spots internationally.
Okay.
We'll go through this fast, but I'm also going to give you a quote. This is a good spot for a quote, Brooke, okay?
Okay.
Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail."
That sounds like camping.
Okay, well, amen. Okay, so that's just, again, I want to throw a little bit of a little exploring travel tip in there, okay? With that, we'll go fast with international. Top spots, according to TravelAwaits.com. I wanted to mix it up a little bit. Bali, Indonesia, Spain and Portugal, Ireland and the UK, Kenya, Jordan, Dubai, and can you guess the country, the number one country that TravelAwaits.com says people want to visit in 2022?
I thought it was Dubai.
Italy.
Really?
According to State of Travel Survey, Italy was the number one international destination readers wanted to visit this year. You been to Italy?
I have not.
Okay. Well,
You like pesto?
I do like pesto. Fast fact, I was actually born in Vicenza, Italy, an
Really?
hour north of Venice. Check out podcast 1, season 1,
Right.
episode 1. I mentioned my backstory. I was born in Vicenza, Italy, and I'm not Italian primarily. I am an American citizen and all that fun stuff. But I've been blessed to go back, and so I would encourage anyone to go check out the entire amazing country of Italy. And you can do that with the Twinkies, and you could do that with a significant other, a gal pal,
Or just myself?
or roll solo. Get the backpack and stay at hostels.
Yeah.
Do the summer in Europe, old school, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Any comments?
I'll zoom
thoughts
you
on
in.
those places? Yeah, so that's another topic for another day is when you do travel, you're going to go with a backpack and stay in a hostel and low-cost budget,
Right.
or you're going to stay at those 5-star Peninsula hotels and Four
Room
Seasons.
service and all the glitz.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this was great insight.
Great insight. The final thing I'll say is check out the dollar exchange. Okay, so because of what's happened with Russia and Ukraine, primarily the dollar has strengthened because there's been issues around the world. So your dollar does have more purchasing power. So you can perhaps get a better deal traveling internationally because of the strong dollar. Have you heard of this?
I have.
Okay, but historically, when we're in a situation in the United States where there's rising interest rates and you have inflation, historically the dollar comes down. So it usually becomes a weaker dollar. So put that into the equation. The dollar is strong relative to other currencies currently. Okay. But the forecast is that the dollar will weaken. So, and when you're talking international trips and thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, make that budget.
Right.
Plan it out long term. Check the currency. And then don't panic. Be patient.
And get travel insurance.
Execute your plan. For sure.
Hey, before we go, I brought you something special.
You did.
Yeah, I did. You know I love coffee. It's like my,
yes,
elixir
you
of
and I
choice,
both.
right?
You and I both, for sure.
But I got you this, and I thought it was just so appropriate.
Check that out. A little caribou coffee. Did you go to Argentina or South America
I
and
did
grab
not.
this?
Nope, but look at the
Look at this
name.
in the camera. This is the Booyah coffee
The
from
Booyah
Caribou.
blend.
Yeah, the Booyah blend. We're going to get Caribou to become a sponsor for the podcast. Well, fast fact, we do not have sponsors, but we can maybe start with the Booyah blend.
So
thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate
Hey,
you. That's
not
awesome.
a problem. I just saw it and thought of you.
Well, heck yeah.
All right.
Well, with that, another episode in the books.
Yes, thank you.
Number 58, season 2, number 16. Over 30,000 downloads. Please go subscribe, pass it to a friend. Let's continue to keep growing this podcast. But episode 58, travel.
Travel.
Where do we go? I think it's where Brooke go and the Twinkies. But with
right,
that,
you.
we're just
All
getting
right.
started.
See ya.
See you next time.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or any specific security. It's only intended to provide education about the financial industry. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Any indices referenced for comparison are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. As always, please remember investing involves risks and possible loss of principal capital. Please seek advice from a licensed professional.